Okay.
Alrighty then. So I know it's the human condition to be living and experiencing our existence through the medium of our five physical senses and then the conceptual conditioning of whatever social context we are raised in, including the language and the social norms and so forth. So we are highly conditioned with this amazing opportunity to engage in a path that transcends, ultimately allows us to transcend the limitations of our conditioning. And again, I'm talking about the limitation of our physical senses, our conceptual and cognitive framework that we exist within, and then the social norms and all this information we take in that shapes our thinking as we go along. So given that, what existence is for a consciousness such as the ones that we possess is an ongoing, never-ending, perpetual repetition of whatever habitual tendencies we cultivate, and the tendencies that we use our agency to eliminate or drop or depotentiate or whatever groovy language one is. But the point being, it's totally 100% up to us to choose, to choose. It's totally up to us to choose. No external change in the world that you see will cause you to change. And Geshe Nima pointed this out very clearly when he made a very simple statement that there is no objective reality out there. So it's, again, we're experiencing our existence through all these layers and facets of a conditioned existence. It's one of the terms that's often used in our lineage. So we have this choice. And so in order to liberate ourselves from the seemingly involuntary reactionary mode that we fall into, based on our desire and the desire, we call it attachment, aversion, and ignorance. So desire, hatred, and indifference. We have the ability to choose a pathway to condition ourselves to come into alignment with a realm and a way of existing that is entirely positive. It's not like some magic formula. It's completely up to us to choose every moment, how are we conditioning ourselves? And the other important thing that Geshe Nima said, and this was actually a couple of days ago on a phone call, but I'll repeat it. He said it to us, but I think it's so important for us to remember this because it relates to us. I mean, this is all leading up to why taking refuge, but he said, all of your spiritual accomplishments and realizations are independent on the guru. He used the term deity, so he was talking about Amoga Siddhi or Vajradhara. So why would that be? Is that the deities, if you want to use, let's just use the terminology, these beings have habituated themselves through their practice to emanate only a positive environment, only positive activities, positive, let's say, possessions, positive environment, and positive activities. So these beings have shown us a path to habituate ourselves to begin to learn how to condition ourselves to generate only positive conditions. And so the first step is this reliance, this refuge, the dependence that Geshe Nima referenced on following their recipe. And it involves having, there's this subtle, the whole reason we're in a hall of mirrors feeding ourselves our biased opinion of what's going on is because we have this little quiet ego that's very subtle and really mainly hidden, that is continuously listening to all this information, trying to figure out if there's a loophole so that its autonomy can continue to control things. And so when we realize what we're basically talking about is, in a sense, you could say, surrendering yourself to live within the purified realm that Buddha and all the Buddha's followers have shown us is possible. So in taking refuge, we are letting go of our stubborn, at some level, and the deeper you go, the more profound it becomes, we are letting go of our opinion of what's going on and recognizing that just because other opinionated consciousnesses swirling around with similar physical vehicles are stating their opinions, we don't have to buy into them. That's not what being a Buddhist practitioner is about. It's about choosing to recondition your mental continuum towards realms that are in alignment with what the Buddha and the Buddha's followers and the children of Buddha are saying is possible. So when we take refuge, that's what we're signing up for. And it's so cool because no matter what you have to sign up for something. So either you've signed up for, or you're just on autopilot and you don't even realize you're just continuing to repeat your cycles, or you're signing up for something deliberate with intention. And that is what it means to be a Buddhist. So we are called to drop our addiction to believing in a mean, terrible, awful something out there, purifying our continuum in alignment. You could say vibrationally harmonizing ourselves like a guitar string tuning. You're tuning yourself to the mode of existence that Buddha is saying possible by taking refuge and all this other stuff we're about to do. Okay, so we'll just read through the prayers in English. Starting with refuge. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha through the positive potential I create by listening to teachings and other paramitas. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha through the positive potential I create by listening to teachings and the other paramitas. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. I'm going to interrupt. So you are taking refuge in the vibrational, I'll use that term, in the mode of existence that Buddha has put forth. We're taking refuge in their vibrational, their mode of existence. And the way that we tune ourselves to them is through listening to teachings and the other paramitas, the 6 perfections. This is how you tune yourself to be in alignment with the reality that you're striving for. The 6 perfections: generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. So that's your tuning devices to get you to this type of existence. May I attain, the last line, let's say, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. So let's just go on. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering, and may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. And then we recall with our thoughts invoking the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas who are surrounding us and sentient beings, knowing that everybody is in place all the time and then we're just tuning into them. And then we think the seven limb practice. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and mentally transformed. I declare all my negative actions accumulated 6 beginningless time, and rejoice in the merits of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until samsara ends and turn the wheel of dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate the merit created by myself and others to the great enlightenment. And by great, it means everybody. And then the mandala. Christopher, would you mind reading the mandala?
Okay. Sajipuki Jukshin Meto Ramriva Blinji Nidegen Padi Sangye Jindu Mide Ulwagi Rogunanda Chimla Chakasho Dam Guru Ratnamandala Kami Yiriatayan. Thanks for that introduction. The talking about the paramitas as a way of tuning ourselves to the kind of existence that we want to grow into is a real. It's a good way to think of it. Tuning. Geshe Nima talks a lot. There's a whole bunch that he's talking about the paramitas in this particular session. I'm going to do a quick review of what we covered last time. He said that there's a karmic bond between a teacher and student. When you find a teacher who you really relate to, really respond to, and they are connecting with you, that is some kind of karmic bond. And if you take that teacher as your guru, then you're taking that teacher sort of all the way. You're following that teacher's advice all the way in this lifetime and beyond. Really, it's my experience. It's beyond when they've passed, they're still there with you. So it is a karmic bond, and if you feel that karmic bond, it is suggested that you take that teacher as your guru and follow that advice. That means that every teaching that teacher gives you is personal advice to you. It's not just some teaching out of a book, teaching out of a Dharma book. Here we're going to study this, we're going to study that. The reason that the teacher is giving the particular teachings is because you are supposed to follow them. It's our job to follow them and practice them. So that's a really important point of the karmic bond that we have between guru and student, guru and teacher, teacher and student. He said that any realizations we have depend on how well we rely on the teacher. Like I just said, relying well on the teacher is not to go, oh, please, teacher, help me, save me. I'm a lost schmuck, and do whatever you can to help me. We start out that way. But pretty quickly we need to shift, and we take responsibility for our own actions, our own thoughts, our own speech. And this is how we rely on the teacher. We rely on the teacher, that the teachings that they give us, and then we put those into practice. So that's how realizations will occur for us. Not simply because we're in touch with a particular guru, but that we are following what the guru's teachings are and taking them personally and practicing them ourselves. And then we will have realizations. He also talked about the importance of receiving Bodhisattva vows once you have hooked up or connected with a guru. You know, you'll receive those vows from the guru himself. That puts you on, you're making a commitment, in other words, to become happy. You're making a commitment to change your life, to become happy, so that you can then benefit others, help them benefit themselves. So this is the point of the Bodhisattva path. It's not like, it's not restrictive at all. And any of the vows that are suggested that we abide by are only there to help us. They're not there to restrict us or infringe upon our freedom. They're there to help us get rid of all of the things that are in the way of our actual freedom. So this is it takes some doing, it takes some time, it takes some thought with these vows, with the Bodhisattva, taking the Bodhisattva vows. So I included these vows in the last study guide that I sent out, and I'll continue to include them so that you can read those yourself and go over them and just see what you think. The point of these vows is that we will break them. We will definitely break them because we are so habituated to doing things that are anti what are contained in these vows, the opposite really, that it's going to take some time. And all you do is you just say, okay, I made a mistake. You pick yourself up, you do some purification practices, and then you go on. That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it. So don't think that you can't take the Bodhisattva vows because you're going to break one. Of course you're going to break one. We all break them all the time. Lama Pasang said that. He said, we break these vows all the time. You just have to keep going. You just keep moving. And renew it. And little by little, your mind will change. We're the ones who actually have to do it. He talked about, then he went into the paramitas, because these are the paramitas, as Kavita said, they're the way we tune ourselves to this spiritual path, to what it is to be a Buddha, what it is to become a Buddha. So these paramitas, it translates as perfections. So we have the perfection of generosity, ethical discipline, patience, and on and on. So he talked about generosity and that there were 4 features. We won't go into them in detail, but there are 4 features of generosity. It's the base, it's the thing that you're being generous with, it's the attitude that you have in being generous, it's the way, the performance. How do you go about being generous? Are you being generous with the idea that whoever you're being generous to, whether it's a person or an animal or an ant, that you're being generous with and acknowledging the importance of that being, acknowledging the importance that that being has. Geshe Nima said, we would be nowhere, nothing without other sentient beings, all sentient beings. The whole system in which we live and move and breathe depends on sentient beings. Our life depends on sentient beings. So it's not just other humans we're talking about. So this is a really, really important thing to go into, these 4 features of generosity. And then there's the completion. So there's the base, the attitude, performance, completion. He went into... All right, we'll stop there because he finished with generosity. So now we're moving on. So he continued that session and we moved on to the perfection of ethics, which I know many of us are, including myself, quite interested in. How do we perfect our ethics? It has to start with us, because if we look at the world around us, the external world, you see ethics. It's almost like they're thrown out the window or something. I mean, it's almost laughable. But so he said, when we talk about...
That's a dualistic statement.
It's a dualistic statement. Nothing exists subjectively. This is what Geshe Nima said.
Awareness that we all
Absolutely.
Be sharing is generating this.
Right. So we either, as Kavita said, either we're going to contribute to that chaos, or we're going to be part of the solution.
And I'm just going to butt in for a second. Clearly, if you think of it like tuning a piano or a guitar or anything, by adding to the disharmony with your anger, your frustration, your sense of outrage and self-righteousness does not harmonize the environment.
It doesn't help. It just makes more noise, really. More noise.
Right.
Okay, so here's the transcription. There are three types of ethics with the perfection of ethical discipline, three types. When we talk about the second paramita of ethics from the Buddhist perspective, there are three kinds. The first is the ethic of restraint. That means in our day-to-day life, not harming others, not killing, not stealing, not telling lies. Don't hold aversion in the mind. Don't hold hatred in the mind. Don't be a jealous person. Avoid harming others physically and verbally. If we use speech which hurts other people's feelings, this is considered the opposite of the ethic of restraint. All non-virtuous actions are related to the ethic of restraint. I like the way Venerable Rabina puts that, just keep your lips zipped and your mouth
Your hands to
your hands to yourself when you're in public. And when you're not in public, really look at your mind, the way your mind is working. The things you get angry about, the things you get fearful about, what's going on in your own mind. This is where we can change. This is the only way we can change. So here's the second type of ethics. The ethic of gathering virtues, and then there's a third, the ethic of altruism. The second kind of ethic is the ethic of gathering virtues. So this means be compassionate, be loving, be patient, be kind, be forgiving. And of course, we can't do any of those in a vacuum. We have to do that with those who are around us, human or otherwise. These kinds of actions accumulate a lot of virtue. So that's why it's called the ethic of gathering virtues, being compassionate, loving, kind, forgiving. The third kind of ethic is the ethic of altruism. Altruism. This is about benefiting the community, benefiting the society, benefiting one's country, and benefiting the world. So it starts from the inside and goes out, extends out, far-reaching. We engage in those noble activities and projects that help to bring peace and harmony to the whole world. So we're always thinking about that. What effect is the thing that I'm doing right now having on the whole system that I'm engaged in here? This includes engaging in projects that help to stop things like deforestation, pollution, and other ways in which the environment is being harmed. This is the ethic of altruism, which leads to the happiness of the whole world. This is the way we view ethics from a wider, holistic perspective. So this is the practice of the three types of ethics. 1, the ethic of restraint. 2, the ethic of gathering virtues. And 3, the ethic of altruism. Because of our practice of generosity, which we talked about in the last session, that's the perfection of generosity, we then become qualified to practice ethics. So we have to start with the generosity. This is one of the things he mentioned last time. Generosity is the easier of all the paramitas for a beginner to do, to start to make that change, to start to turn around rather than being stingy and miserly. Turn your heart around and be generous. When you see somebody begging on the street, don't look the other way. Have something in your pocket to give to them and acknowledge them. with respect and kindness and connection. So this is where we start. And once we can be generous like this, then the ethics comes. This is why the paramitas are in a particular order. So okay. Now we go into the three types of patience. So the next paramita is patience. So there's generosity, ethical discipline, then patience. Mainly, patience means don't get angry. Do whatever it takes to not get angry. So there is the paramita of patience can also be divided into three aspects, just like the others. The first one is practicing the patience towards someone who harms us. Being patient toward someone who harms us. The second is the patience of the acceptance of suffering, and it means our suffering. The patience of the acceptance of suffering. And the third kind of patience is practicing the patience of the acceptance of reality. So we're going to go into these a little bit. He's saying the second and the third, the patience of accepting suffering and the patience of accepting reality, are a little bit close in their meaning. So here we go. Here's the patience towards someone who harms us. If someone uses negative words against us, bullies or abuses us, and we respond immediately with anger towards them, then according to the Bodhisattva's perspective, this is 100% wrong, 100% mistaken. These kinds of reactions that we have. We should always try to avoid that kind of anger. We should always keep our motivation compassionate and loving. You can see why these take practice. When someone abuses us, what we try to do is train in the thought, oh, that person is accumulating negative action right now. So instead of us getting angry in our heart, we feel compassion. This person is experiencing the mental pain of having anger or hatred in their mind. I think we all know what that feels like. It's not good. There's nothing good feeling about being angry. Maybe for a little while you feel like you've got a lot of power, but afterwards, you wind up leaving a lot of mess in your wake. Certainly, this person is leading other people towards feelings of anger or hatred. So when we get angry at somebody and yell at them, well, usually they're going to respond back in anger and hatred, and we all know how that escalates.
Yeah, and it spreads.
And it spreads. Look at the world, right? So this only accumulates more negative karma in this person's mental continuum. This negative karma will lead her or him in a future life to experience more disastrous consequences. This is simply the way karma works. What goes around comes around, basically. So immediately, what we try to do is to make a distinction between the action and the actor. As we mentioned before, we talked about this. All right. Oh. Instead of responding with some kind of negative reaction, we feel compassion. Sometimes this kind of thing is very, very difficult for us in our life. But we train in bodhicitta that arises from unconditional great compassion and great love. Bodhicitta being the mind that wishes to become enlightened for the benefit of all beings. We train in that. And that requires great compassion and great love. We consider all sentient beings as if they were our mother. And so on, the way we did in the when we talked about the two lineages of cultivating bodhicitta, we discussed this earlier in the step-by-step pattern. If we train without failing at the foundational level, then we'll have no problem. The practice of the 6 paramitas or the 6 perfections is about checking our own actions, our own thinking, our own speech, not somebody else's, our own, in our day-to-day life. We watch our mind, we watch our speech, we watch our physical actions. In the morning, it's very easy to meditate on bodhicitta. And I know this from personal experience. We feel happy for about 1 hour or 2 hours. Oh, it was great, you know? When we go into society and encounter people, it's very rare that we hold on to that happy feeling. So it's very important for us to cultivate bodhicitta by training in it. It's not just thinking about it, it's training. It's like any activity we have in our life that is important to us to accomplish, whether it's playing an instrument, becoming a great basketball player, or getting off drugs, and it's important to us. We have to train in it. We can't just think, that's neat, I'm going to do it, and then never do anything. We have to do something. We actually have to train. We have to take the steps. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. It's just an idea we have. The practice of the 6 paramitas, like I said, is training. So it's very important for us to cultivate bodhicitta through training. Here's the next kind of patience. That was the patience towards someone who harms us. Okay. Here is the patience of the acceptance of suffering. Based on bodhicitta, this wish to become enlightened for the benefit of all beings, and the bodhisattva vows that we take, the particular actions that are going to help us do this, if we want to make some difference or some change in our mind, we train with each and everything that we do. That means everything. For example, when we go to the grocery store and someone shows us some negative expression or an angry face, instead of feeling unhappy in our mind, we feel compassion. You do the same thing. If you're on the road and somebody flips you the bird, in the car in front of you, or going by you, or screams something out the window at you that's really nasty, you feel compassion. This is the correct response. We try to understand that person may have a problem. It's in their family or with their spouse or with their children or with something else. But they've got a problem. There's no reason that they would be angry like this at you if they didn't have something in their life that's bothering them. That's the way to think about it, and to be compassionate towards them because of that. We try to understand.
Especially if you're the reason they're if they're angry at you because you're a problem in their life. Sorry.
Well, then you'd even know how compassionate you needed to be, right?
Yeah.
Well, boy, I'm a real shithead. I need to be really compassionate towards this person. Okay. Where was I?
Sorry. I was just thinking of a situation.
Just practicing
compassion. Right. So we try to understand that this person who's flipping us the bird or whatever is suffering themselves, and so we try to have compassion and understand that they're going through stuff. And so immediately, if we do this, then we can counter our own negative reaction. So this is how we practice that. It's really important. And it's not going to occur the first or second or third time. We're going to have to keep reminding ourselves and practicing it until it becomes habitual.
So you're a Buddha.
Yeah. Okay. So
Acceptance of suffering.
All right. The second kind of patience is the acceptance of suffering. This is referring to one's own suffering or problems. Our own suffering, our own problem. In our day-to-day life, there are many problems, many obstacles, and we all get that. Sometimes, due to our karma, this happened to us just this week. Unexpected misfortune comes into our life and falls on our head or pours out of your well. Yes. Then what happens normally is we give up our practice, we leave it behind, we feel anxious, depressed, and stressed. It's just like practice goes out the window because this thing occurred and oh my God, what am I going to do? And this week we had a bit of that, but we maintained our practice, and so we have maintained a little bit of an even strain
it
here.
goes with the territory.
Right. But everything goes with the territory.
Yes,
This
exactly.
is samsara.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
That's exactly my point.
Thank you. So what we do is, if we're a real Dharma practitioner, we never become discouraged because of our consistent practice. Because we have been consistently practicing, this is the thing that is going to keep us from becoming discouraged. If we haven't been consistently practicing, we're just going to go right to, oh my God, this is awful, what's happening? So we try to challenge the problem. We think like this. Although I am consistently practicing, this misfortune has fallen upon me due to my past karma. There are other people who face and suffer this kind of problem, not only me. And so you apply that to any problem you have. Any problem you have. Apply this thought. Let me read that again. Although I am consistently practicing, this misfortune has fallen upon me due to my past karma. There are many other people who face and suffer this same kind of problem, not only me. So we look at the outside world and see that many people have this kind of problem. So instead of feeling depressed or stressed or anxious, we accept the problem and we transform that problem into the Dharma path. So we think like this. Because of the problem I face, may this cause other people to end their suffering like me. So if you think about, if you're on this path to become a Bodhisattva, you have a particular problem you're working to overcome, and you are overcoming it. You're taking the steps. Some problems are more difficult than others. But what you realize is that if I can do this and be successful at this, then I can actually help others do the same thing. I can't help others if I can't do this myself. So if I can do this myself, I can help others to do the same thing. May this experience that I have be the cause of ending the suffering of other beings. Whatever problem or misfortune falls upon us, we can challenge it. Again, we think, this is my past karma. If I experience it in this life, in a future life, I can be okay, no problem. But if I carry this negative karma on my shoulders, maybe in a future life, I will experience more of this kind of problem. So, if I experience it in this life, but I don't carry it with me, I'll be okay. Geshe Nima says, this is how we think when we practice this kind of patience, the patience of the acceptance of suffering. So if we are, we have this problem and we're working on this problem, then we're working with the Dharma with this problem, then we'll be okay. Even if this problem continues into another life, we will have been well on the way of purifying that, changing that, turning it around, and therefore we'd be able to help other people with similar kinds of problems. So that's the patience of the acceptance of suffering, our own suffering. We're patient with ourselves with that.
There's a aspect to this that I think is often overlooked. And he doesn't reference it directly, but we also can really boost our enthusiasm for continuing with equanimity by remembering that if you enter the gymnasium in order to strengthen your muscles without encountering the resistance, the weights, you can't develop those muscles. So as you know, as we are on the more deeply we get into the path, and one thing they do say is that sometimes it feels as like things are just getting worse and worse. That's the weights, and the weights are being added to your, your
Yeah,
daily.
and just like a weightlifter, you'd welcome that. You know, all right, I'm at a certain level. I need to, I need more resistance. I need to build up more strength.
Yeah, so and like for example, with the with our whatever, just one really does oneself and those around you a big favor by taking everything in as
Practice.
And I don't mean this trivially, as your golden opportunity to develop the quality that you have claimed you want to develop. Oh, I want to be a kind, patient person. How do you think we develop that? It's not by being around just,
Kind, patient people.
kind, patient people.
Right. Yeah. The only way we develop it.
About that.
The only way to develop it is we have to meet with that resistance so that we can see where we're at. Yeah. Yeah. It's makes
more than see
so
where we're
much
at,
sense.
so that we can practice patience and compassion and whatever. It's not just, oh, this nasty person is showing me where I'm at. It's like, oh, here it is.
Right.
And again, going back to, there is no subjective anything out there.
Objective,
sorry.
right. It's all happening in our mind, right? It's all going on in our own mind.
Who are you getting mad at exactly? Who are you reacting to?
We're getting mad at something. We're getting angry at something we are projecting with our mind onto something else.
It sounds unbelievable, and yet this is what we and yogis have been telling us for countless eons, and we refuse to accept it.
Okay, some people say, I've practiced my whole life. I see others who don't practice but are always happy and peaceful. I always practice, but I don't have peace in my mind. Geshe Nima says, this is not the fault of the Dharma. This is the fault of one's own way of thinking. We should practice the patience of the acceptance of suffering one's own problems. So this is something to go back and look over, in the study.
So that's the third one.
And that's the second one.
Oh, okay.
All right, here's the third one. The patience of the acceptance of reality.
Oh, yeah. Okay, got it.
The patience of the acceptance of reality. The third kind of patience is the patience of the acceptance of reality. Our present reality is that of birth, aging, sickness, and death. These things, for us, are unavoidable. Through our Buddhist practice, we believe the material body is a separate entity. The body is just our clothing. When the function of the body stops, there is no reason to stop the mind, to stop the consciousness. When the bodily function stops, the mind still continues. For that reason, we may take a new body. Because of our practice and positive karma, our mental continuum takes a new body, and through that body, we can continue our practice until we attain Buddhahood. So for many, many, many lifetimes, however long it takes. If we study more and more, we become more and more confident in this kind of concept, especially when we practice the Dharma. Some people say they practice this and that kind of dharmic thing and nothing changes at all for them. We should also be patient with our own practice. We should be patient with our own practice. If we practice and it doesn't make a change, that shows us that our way of practicing or our way of meditating is incomplete. If we throw some seed into a field, a sprout doesn't just start growing there. It needs water and fertile soil. To produce any kind of fruit, including Buddhahood, we need two causes: the substantial cause and the cooperative cause. The substantial cause refers to the seed. If we want a particular fruit, we start by planting the seed of that particular fruit. The cooperative cause is the water and the warmth of the soil mixed with manure or fertilizer. Similarly, if we wish to take a good rebirth in the next life, the seed of our next rebirth is our mental continuum. Along with that is our practice, which creates positive karma. Positive karma is the cooperative cause toward our next rebirth. So the seed of our next rebirth is the state of our mental continuum where we're at. And that's the substantial cause of the next rebirth. And then the cooperative cause is how much positive karma do we have? That's like our fertilizer and soil. So that's an interesting analogy, I think, that's helpful.
I just want to say winter rye, you can pretty much throw anywhere and it'll sprout.
Well, that's because it's meeting the right causes and conditions in the winter.
No, I mean, it's a seed that just doesn't seem to have any issues with anything. It's weird.
May
So
all
be
our
winter
mind
rye.
streams be like winter rye.
Exactly. May our mind streams be like winter rye. Okay. I like that one.
Finding fertile ground
It's
wherever
baffling,
they land.
as a highly fairly attuned to what seeds do.
That's a good point, though. That you made and that Tracy just made. What she said was, we find fertile ground wherever we land. With our own mind, we can turn something around into being fertile ground for us, which would normally not be.
Interesting. I'm going to go into the winter rye metaphor a teeny bit. We had some bare dirt. A contractor told us throw some winter rye on there, and then March 1st throw whatever grass seed you want to take hold permanently. Winter rye, it was a not perennial, it was the annual. The winter rye sprouts ridiculously easy and grew, providing shade and soil structure for the other grass seed. So together, these two dharma actions
Work synergistically.
Ultimately, the winter rye is abandoned, and the next thing you know, you got Bermuda grass. Or Zorsia, or whatever.
Bermuda grass and thistles. Okay, going on. Instead of losing our hope and our faith, we should always be smart and double check what we are doing. This is how we talk about the patience of the acceptance of suffering one's own problems and the patience of the acceptance of reality. These two are included in the kinds of patience we extend in our day-to-day life. Okay, so that was the second paramita of patience and the three aspects of patience. Now we're going to the third. No, that was the third. That was the third paramita. The fourth paramita is enthusiastic effort or joyous effort that we make.
There's a question or a comment related to this that Brian Bales. This has to do with karmic appearances and not being able to see the karmic connection or the seed, because we're not omniscient. So we don't see the seed that caused this unpleasant karmic appearance.
Right, because
And he's asking, I understand why you're asking, does anyone get frustrated? But that's not really what this class is about, Brian. It's about being smart. Forget about your frustration. Who cares?
Is that your answer?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say.
Oh, that's a great Robina-like answer.
Brian's saying, I know I must have caused this, but it's theoretical. It's just still theoretical. It's logical, of course, but I don't really see it. This is
Well,
again,
okay, all right.
refuge.
Here's how I would respond to that, and I will go back again to what it means to rely upon your teacher. You rely upon your guru. Your guru is giving you the path, is giving you the information. If you haven't fully, you're not fully relying on your guru if you just don't take it and go, all right, I'm just going to practice this. I don't understand right now because I can't see why my karmic appearance is like this. I don't know what I must have done to see the world the way it is, the way now. That's too much. That's like having an omniscient mind or something. But what we do is we trust the path and the practices that our guru is giving to us.
right, because we're having whatever experience we're having.
Mm.
So therefore, we have done something, whether we remember it or not,
Right.
is kind of like irrelevant.
You
What we
could-
do know is our experience.
Right.
You
And then reverse kind of engineer, like, okay, this is what I have to do to clarify or purify that.
That's a good point.
Exactly.
That's a
So
good point.
going back to my diatribe at the beginning before taking refuge,
Kavita's diatribe.
Yeah.
what are you basically saying is it is conditioning, your conditioning.
Right.
Mm.
I mean, this is huge. So if you are looking out there and feeling
Why?
put upon by the things arising in your life, like some kind of victim, you are not practicing Buddhism.
True.
You did something
Yeah, true.
to have the experience you're having.
Even if you
Exactly.
even if you take it more in a more cosmic, even if it's not like did in a mechanistic cause and effect kind of, but you have the mental habit of seeing things that way.
Mhm. I mean, there's some for me.
I mean, that's I think really. So let's say you get in a car crash and you go, oh, I must have caused a car crash in another life. No, you have the mental continuum to view a car crash as a problem,
Mm. Right. I mean,
as
like,
opposed to it goes with the territory of driving the car around
well,
80 miles
with
an hour.
millions of other people who are distracted.
right. I mean, for me, it's kind of comforting to know. I mean, initially you're like, oh shit, like I'm having this experience, and you realize you're having this experience, and then when you put the practice into place, then you kind of have this, oh shit, I did this, like moment. It's like, okay, I did this.
Right.
So now how do I learn from this? How do I grow from, I mean, like, there's that moment of, oh shit, I did this, to then, oh, that's a good thing because I did do this, then I can undo this, or I can clean this act up of mine. I can
Mhm.
purify it. I can shift
Mhm.
because it didn't happen out there. It happened in here.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Previously,
Yeah.
in a lifetime I'm not remembering,
Yeah.
but previously it happened and I did it.
Yeah.
And I'm now reaping the benefit or not benefit, the fruit of whatever action it was that I took, positive, negative, indifferent. And so that's kind of like, oh, that moment, oh. And it could be a good oh, it could be a neutral, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, the realization.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you have the positive acknowledgement, like, oh, then I can clean this act up of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Because I created this mess, so I can clean it up.
This is a good point you brought up, Brian Bales, because what we all have to do is go. Nothing occurs by chance. Everything arises due to causes and conditions, including the world that appears to us. So we do have a part in that. And as Tracy was then saying, if there's something bad that we don't like about ourselves, I've had this experience myself. And you go, oh shit, I must have done this in another life. You're right, my God. Well, what that does, and what it did for me actually, what it can do, is it can then make you can soften your heart towards others who've done the same kinds of things, because you realize this is not necessarily a permanent thing. Everything can shift and change. And so it also opens us up to all kinds of other people instead of rejecting them, going, wow, I have empathy for this person. I have compassion for this person.
Right.
I know I've done stuff, really bad stuff myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't have experienced the things I did in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the way you turn it into the path. This is the way you can turn all of this around and make it turn it into a positive and open your heart, your compassionate heart to others, all others, you know.
Right.
I'm gonna pipe in with my usual view on things about you don't even need to believe in reincarnation and karma in the sense that I must have done this in the past in some other life. All you have to do is take in the moment, just a tender-hearted human flexibility about what's happening. Okay, so that my husband cheated on me. You don't have to go, oh gee, I must have cheated on my spouse in another life. You have to go, wow, you know, causes and conditions, you know, things arise in people that we don't even understand. Surely I don't understand everything that arises in me. Why should I expect my husband to be a master of everything that arises in him? That's not realistic. You don't have to believe in reincarnation to make it part of the path. I'm just bringing that into.
What you do have to recognize, though, is things arise due to causes and conditions.
And you know,
any of us, given the right causes and conditions, could behave in a very bad way.
Yeah, there's a little mental image that was just a minute ago came to mind when you were talking about this. If you've ever had the chance to be up, say, like in, you know, the Empire State Building or even the Tower of the Americas for that matter, like some high building, or looking down from an airplane, but a stable building is better, and you're looking down the street and you can see the cars. You can see, oh, you know, this red car's coming down that street and they're gonna, you know, and you can see causes and conditions. The people in those cars don't see all the relationship of all that stuff happening. But you can sit there and watch and you can go, okay, that car's gonna cut that car off. Wow.
That must be what it's like to be omniscient. I mean,
There they go again.
yeah,
So the homework is go up to the
it's a higher
highest
good.
building you can and look down and think about causes and conditions.
Okay.
Can
Now
I add another thing? I love this discussion when you're talking. I love what you're saying about continuum. And it's like we didn't do a specific thing, but we're all on a continuum. If we get out of thinking where we came from and where we're going in any given moment and practice these practices in the present moment, that's where the rubber meets the road, because we know we're on a continuum, or we may be particularly attuned to past lives or reincarnation. You know, that can be true or not true. And it looks like we're going there. You know, if you're looking down at the cars, it's going in a direction. But what do you do in that moment? You know, and it's doing these practices and so when we learn how to be really present and kind of freeze frame it, I think that's where the change can happen.
Oh yeah, wonderful. Totally agree with you. Yes. Okay.
Downhill skiing.
Now
the slope does not have an end. There's no end.
It's a never-ending slope. All right, we go to the next paramita, the next perfection, the fourth one, which is called enthusiastic effort or joyful effort. In all of our work, in everything we do, if we have joyous, enthusiastic effort, we'll never be tired or bored. That's big. We always can be actively engaged in our work. It's very important. The way to develop joyous effort is we try to see the long-term interest or purpose of the kind of activity or work that we're doing. Not just what's happening today, but what's the long-term purpose of this thing that I'm doing. Then immediately we can feel some kind of enthusiasm or joyous effort. you have an example, Kavita?
Yeah, I was thinking of Brian and Tracy coming into class and a little hassled because they had a flurry of activity and it was like, "Phew, oh my God, what a, it's a pain to get here." Well, you're coming here to become enlightened.
Yeah. So the long-term view.
It was a pain to come.
And that's-
But you came
you're
because it
doing
was.
without joyous effort. That's the opposite of joyous effort. That's bogged down bummer.
And we all know bogged down bummer really well.
That's how I felt like, I was a little late getting here and I got frustrated for a second. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to a place where I can meditate and change the way I feel immediately.
So it's a good thing.
Anyway, so,
Right.
just to use your example, that would be the opposite of joyous effort. What he's saying is in that moment, go, hey, wait, what am I doing?
What is the purpose?
What am I doing?
What is my
here?
ultimate
I'm trying
purpose?
to get enlightened, and this
Yeah.
is, unless you do not feel this, maybe you don't feel that this is going to help you become enlightened.
No, he does. He's said it many times.
In that case,
But-
the difficulty is you have to live both in
Yes.
dimensional reality and ultimate reality without proof that actually
Oh.
the belief that one has to have to adopt these ideas and philosophies.
Really, the only belief we need
Yeah.
is that things do arise because of causes and conditions. And I think we can easily, any of us can say, yeah, that's
Yeah.
so. That's so. So that's all we need. We don't have to believe in past
Anything
lives,
else.
future lives,
Anything else.
Buddhas or anything else.
And it's our own experience. When I was talking earlier about when you have this realization, like, oh, I'm having this experience because of something, some seed of some sort that I planted before, then have that moment in time to quickly have that realization, oh, I can change my mindset about it. And that's it.
Right.
Or you can find it an arduous task. Oh, I gotta change my mindset. And
that is
That
actually
whole frame of mind.
that is the practice.
yeah.
That the practice is changing my mindset rather than going back to the habitual thing that we always do. We're so ingrained to be, whatever, bummed out, and go, wait a minute, hold on, I can right now, I can change my mindset about this. What's the purpose? I can change the way I view the purpose of what I'm doing and get a little enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Again, and Kavita said this in part of her soliloquy at the beginning about vibrational level. All I've heard is I'm not at the right vibrational level. I don't vibrate it high enough. I don't.
He vibrates it a little bit.
It doesn't help me.
No, that doesn't help. Right.
You're being told you don't
No.
vibrate at the right level.
I
here's
don't
a
say
different way
I
of
don't
saying
say
it.
right
You are
level.
thinking habitual thoughts that are dragging your mood
Energy
down.
Yeah.
Forget about energy and
I'm in a good
vibration.
mood today.
Your thoughts, your thoughts are your job. If you don't like your thoughts, it's your job to change them.
And
That's Buddhism.
But again, I think.
And you don't need any other context. There's no but.
Yeah,
There is no
but.
There is no yet again.
I
It's
could say that, what do they call it? When you live in the Himalayas there and it's very wonderful. Shangri-La.
yeah.
I could say I'm living in Shangri-La.
You could.
And now utopia. And that, yeah.
It's the practice.
But if I sit here and think,
That
I'm
practice.
right now, and all of a sudden, 10 other things happen,
Oh.
I'm not paying attention to.
Okay, well,
I know.
that is the practice, Brian.
That's the
Right.
whole
That is
practice.
the practice to wake up one day and go, oh my God, I'm living in Shangri-La.
Yeah.
Okay.
Read, okay,
Create
Right.
your own brave new world.
Yeah.
At
Or,
some
you know,
point.
you can read Dickens' Christmas Carol and
Right.
Scrooge's big wake-up call.
Right.
I know you didn't grow up in a Christian tradition, but you might have read Dickens' Christmas Carol anyway.
I think he has.
It's quite profound.
And Brian, I don't think you're Scrooge. Just so you know, there are different opinions here.
You were waiting to happen out there. It was never gonna happen.
It's gotta happen in here.
It's never gonna
All right,
happen.
let's continue. Let's continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
We're
right.
gonna gang up on
No.
Dr. Herman.
I had asked Kavita for an example, but now I'm going to give Geshe Nima's example. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's give the teacher's example. For example, In the monastery, when students first come from Tibet and study Buddhist philosophy to get their Geshe degree and special Geshe Larampa degree, it takes more than 23 years, including 1 year in Gyuto Tantric Monastery and then back again to Drepung to study for another 3 years about Tantra, which makes a total of 26 years to get your degree. There are lots of difficult studies, joint examinations, and assignments to be done each year, throughout the year. If we think of it only as being very, very hard and very, very tough, it's difficult to feel very, very excited about it. But if someone explains, if you get the Geshe degree, you will understand all the Buddhist concepts so you can help others and fulfill your own life by benefiting other sentient beings, then we can become enthusiastic. So it is explained to the young students who come to the monastery in this way. Oh, you're very, very lucky to have come here. So you must be a good Geshe, a Geshe Larampa. And through that achievement in your studies, you can help yourself as well as others. And immediately they feel happy about their karma because something good has been introduced into their life that they feel happy about, that's related to their future and their future career. Something's been introduced into their life. They hold this aim and then start their education and their spiritual journey. Then during their whole life, they're very, very happy doing their studies and debating each and every topic because first we introduce their final goal and achievement. So here's the point. We have to realize what it is we're going after, and then everything we do becomes part of that. We direct everything that happens in that light, rather than just, oh, this is random awful thing and somebody on the road, whatever it may be. You know, we change it by knowing first what the goal is that we're after here. We're after happiness, the perfection of our being, so that we can help others do the same thing and make the world and the universe a better, wonderful place. So that's the goal, you know. Similarly,
Sorry, but what is happiness? And how does one attain happiness? And I'm not being facetious. I'm thinking, you exist in a dependently originating world and are surrounded by all sorts of causes and conditions.
Okay.
And say you're in situation X and you're unhappy. So you could either change your mind stream or mind thought to say, oh, I'm happy. Or you could change the conditions that would create your own vision or view of happiness.
but the point is, the real thing here is, what is your own vision of happiness? So what they're saying here is this view, this really high view of what our potential is and how far we can go with ourselves. That's the view to hold. That's what our guru is telling us, you know? So that then, when you do that, everything you do is geared toward that particular goal. Happiness just means the lack of suffering, the complete lack of suffering. Once you take suffering away, naturally there will be happiness.
Okay, I guess I'm asking more mechanical or practical kind of question. What do you do to attain happiness?
Shift your mind.
Okay, so that's one way to do it. Okay, but your causes and conditions, circumstances also lead to your happiness or unhappiness.
Well, yeah,
So do
it's
you
how you
just keep the
experience
same
them.
causes and conditions, or do you change your mind and just say, oh, I'm happy? Or do you change your causes and conditions?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna experience for me has been sometimes it is really helpful to change something in my environment or big things in my environment so that the trench I'm in can shift.
Right.
Or I can
Right.
get out of the trench I'm in, so.
You need a ladder.
What I would add to that, just stop there. What I would add to that is that you have to know that's why you're doing it. That's why you're making the change. Not because moving to another place is going to make you happy. That's not the reason. Moving to another place is going to shift everything that was going on in your mind, in your environment, and then you can actually work on your mind. But many people make the mistake, I've seen it over and over and over again, thinking, I just need to get out of here. I need to move to a different place, and then I will be happy, and it never happens. The new house, the new car, the new spouse, the new state does not make you happy.
Right.
What
'cause
makes us happy is internal.
But yeah,
Internal.
I mean, it can be, you know,
But you
It
can
can be-
you can
necessary to shift something.
you can
Yeah.
shift something by changing your environment, but you have to realize that's all you're doing. You're just shifting your environment to allow your mind to change, not thinking that that environment is going to make you happy.
Well,
You know,
Right.
that's something to think about.
Because it's not the same typical daily rut routine.
Right.
You shift it, so then you have to have an opportunity to come out of that old
I had a
pattern.
really weird thing happen like this once. The
Doing
guy
this
that
thing.
he was my, worked in my department. I was his supervisor. And he was a persistent, very smart, pain in the ass. Contributed highly, but was just
Oh, I know what this is.
a pain and a pain. And one Christmas vacation, he had a regular hair. One Christmas vacation, he shaved off his beard and hair and came back bald. And just his mere appearance changing so drastically, I couldn't find the stimulus to react to him in the same pissed off way. I mean, I didn't act pissed off. He, you know, I was a good manager.
All
I kept it in.
right, stop there, because what I would say, that's all, what she's saying is a really good point. And moving or changing the way you look or whatever is going to make some kind of shift. However, if we don't change our mind and our habitual thoughts, the same patterns are going to come
Right. That's
out
my
and
point.
express within the new hairdo,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the new place,
It
the
all
new
starts
state,
from
the
the work
new
within.
whatever. The same, if we don't change our habitual patterns that are causing us suffering, that we don't even see it. The reason why these teachings are so important and that they're meant for us to take personally is if we look at them and study them, then we will see what it is we're doing. You know, and this is actually what we have to practice, not change the environment around us or anything else like that. The shift, yes, can be helpful, but if we don't change our mind, the same thing's going to pop up.
Right.
It'll just regrow.
It follows you
It will
wherever
follow,
you
right.
go.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
All right, similarly, when Buddha Maitreya talks about Buddhahood in the Ornament of Clear Realization, he introduces first the enlightened state of mind, the omniscient mind, before explaining the entire path to the disciples or followers of this teaching. Because the follower can understand, if I achieve the fully enlightened state of mind, there's no question that I will liberate myself from suffering, and through this achievement, I can benefit the whole of sentient beings. So immediately, the follower will then start following the practice. Okay, now we're going into 3 types of laziness that are countered by joyous or enthusiastic effort. And in this case, he's calling it armor-like enthusiastic effort, armor-like joyous effort, like armor that you wear. So here's the first laziness, and this is a big one, the laziness of denigrating oneself. The laziness of denigrating oneself. The way he put it was the laziness of offending oneself. But denigrating is I think clearer for the Westerner. The laziness of offending or denigrating oneself. Joyous and enthusiastic effort is very important, not only in our spiritual practice, but in everything we do. Joyous or enthusiastic effort is armor-like effort. Armor is worn by someone going to war. Remember, they often talk about the Bodhisattva like being a warrior. In ancient times, warriors would put on special suits or jackets for protection. Armor, like joyous effort in our mind, counteracts the three types of laziness. The first type of laziness is the laziness of offending or denigrating oneself. We'll talk about Buddhahood, liberation, the Four Noble Truths, the Two Truths, and we'll think, I can't study such profound things. I can't do that. I can't do that. We'll say that. What that means is that we are denigrating or dismissing our own potential.
Mm-hmm.
To say that we can't do it, we're dismissing the potential that we have. Everybody possesses Buddha nature. And they're talking about ants as well. Every sentient being possesses what is called Buddha nature. Buddha nature is the capacity to change and transform. There is not any being who doesn't possess Buddha nature. So if we make the effort, we are qualified or equipped to be a Buddha within this life, if we make the effort. The Tibetan yogi Milarepa, in the earlier part of his life, killed many people, including his own relatives. In the later part of his life, he renounced everything, even his body, and he offered his body to his guru. He thought only of the Dharma and didn't place any part of his mental focus on other things. And so he could become a Buddha. In our day-to-day life, most of our mind is directed toward other things. If we practice Dharma, a small part of our mind is thinking of our name or some kind of reputation or power or position. This is not sincere. Real Dharma is not related with ordinary concerns. It should always be pure and sincere. This is very important. So the next type of laziness is the laziness of procrastination. If we understand the concept of Buddha nature, that we have the capacity to do this, then there's no problem. If we make the effort, we can become a Buddha. So we never offend or denigrate or insult our own potential. I'm going to say that again because it's really, really big. We never offend or denigrate or insult our own potential. That means we never lack self-confidence. The first type of laziness is the laziness of denigrating our own ability and potential. It's lazy to do that. And the second type of laziness is the laziness of procrastination. What we do is we say, well, I have lots of time. This morning, I actually have some time to practice, but it's no problem. Tomorrow and the day after, I have free. So I'll start my meditation practice tomorrow. Today, I'll go see a movie, or I'll go to the grocery store with my friend, and we'll enjoy some tea. And in that way, one day passes. Then the next day, you prepare to start the meditation and you think, oh, maybe tomorrow. Even though I have time for this today, I have some other work I really ought to do. And so you postpone, postpone, postpone. And then finally, you can't do anything. This is the laziness of procrastination. This is a very, very bad obstacle that hinders our ability to achieve inner realization. And it's huge, and this will happen. This will happen. I would say to most people, when they begin a meditation practice, they're very gung-ho, this is great, I'm gonna have an experience, blah, 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 and it doesn't happen. And you go, oh, but we don't keep up with it. And we don't continue our studies. We think, I should have just tried this thing, it should have worked, it doesn't work, I'm gonna try something else. I'm gonna go somewhere else, try something else. We are lazy about that, and we don't put in the effort. So we procrastinate in terms of, all right, I just sat here today, it wasn't that great, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to sit tomorrow morning and I'm going to continue to do this and I'm going to study and practice and study and practice. And I will say, eventually, 20 years later, your practices are really pretty good. Your meditations are really pretty good. And you enjoy them and you want to do them and you don't want to miss one. So you just have to keep up with it. It's like any other practice that's important. Any other practice in our life that is important to us, it requires repetition and not giving up. So here's the third laziness. It's the laziness of attachment toward meaningless things.
Hello, Facebook.
Hello, Twitter. X.
Hello, internet, email, Facebook, social media.
Okay, so
TikTok,
say we have time in our room to practice, but our attention is drawn to meaningless things. You know, sometimes going out and spending our time gossiping with a friend, talking in meaningless ways, criticizing some government official, and so on, like that. This is the laziness of attachment toward meaningless things. Many times we have enough time to practice, but we try to find another way to spend our precious time in a meaningless way.
Yeah.
A lot of that's habit.
It's all habit.
Yeah.
It's all habit.
It's all habit.
100%.
So what we have to do is create the new groove, the new habit of practicing every day, studying, going back over the material that we've been given by our teacher, and really embody that.
Mhm.
And we'll be happier if we do it. That's the funny part, that we don't do it,
Right.
you know?
I mean, yeah.
All right, in order to counter these three kinds of laziness, I'll say them again. The laziness of denigrating oneself, the laziness of procrastination, and the laziness of attachment toward meaningless things. What we try to do is we generate joyous or enthusiastic effort in practicing Dharma. In our day-to-day life, it's very difficult, so we train, and train in this way. Finally, what we are doing becomes meaningful. It becomes attractive to us in our mind compared to outside enjoyment. Then even if we tried to spend our whole life in a cave, it would be possible. If someone asked you, can you spend your whole life in a cave alone? You would probably say no. Or if you said yes, maybe you would spend a week or a month, and then you'd feel some loneliness and come back. This is because we focus on our external enjoyment or happiness and are attached more to external happiness than internal happiness. We are focused on our external enjoyment or happiness and are attached more to external happiness than internal happiness. So our mind is habitually drawn away toward the external, and we can't find any intense interest in practicing Dharma. So he just has given us the reasons here. All we have to do is think about that and see what we think for ourselves, you know.
If you're serious about self-mastery, then we have this great opportunity of the distraction of the internet and the tendency, it's quite common. We accept that Brian can check his messages, Robbie's checking his phone, I'm checking the weather. That's not Dharma practice, because one of the perfections is concentration. So what I've started doing is, I want to develop concentration. So in this moment, I'm going to resist my habit of checking the weather just for this hour. to
The only
develop
way, the only
concentration.
way to develop concentration is to do it.
Right.
And if we don't do it, it's not going to develop.
I remember Venerable Robina saying, you know, because she has shared many times that she was just born angry, right?
Yeah.
And so she's like, okay, I'm gonna work on not being angry from 10 p.m.
Exactly.
to 1 a.m.
That's
in the
what
morning when she's asleep, you know. But she made the intention
Right.
to not be
Mhm.
angry
So
during
that's
that
in
time
her
period.
mind.
So that's in her mind stream. Eventually, the time shifted to times that she was actually awake. But she started where she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
she
you
couldn't
do.
Powerful.
and she couldn't be not angry while she was awake.
Right.
So she started when she was asleep, but then planted the intention.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to be angry while I'm asleep.
Mhm.
And maybe her dreams were more pleasant. I don't know,
Yeah.
you know, but I mean, you got to start. One, you have to recognize where you are, like she did. Two, you have to accept where you are and know that it's okay. Everyone takes that first step on the path. Here's me. Here's my first step. I'm pissed off all the time. I'm never going to be not angry. Oh, I'm going to not be angry this time frame. That's step one.
Mhm.
Then you just shift the steps.
Mhm.
And we apply that to our own issues, whatever they may be.
Yeah.
And each of us have our own different issues. But we have to go, I am not going to have this negative behavioral pattern. Start where you are.
Mhm.
Validate where you are. It's okay to be where you are. You got to be
Right.
somewhere.
Yeah.
So be where you are, be okay with that, and then just go, I'm going to put the intention in place now and shift it.
That goes back to the that we shouldn't denigrate or you know, insult our own potential that we have.
Right.
You know. So yeah, we may be at a
I think
particular
though,
place.
you know, let's say you spend 2 hours meditating every day on Buddhism and then you still do Facebook, is that all right?
Of course, it's all right, but I mean,
suppose it depends on a lot of things going on in only each individual who's conducting themselves that
Or I
way.
would argue
There's no
maybe-
blanket answer.
Maybe
Yeah.
that you are still, you know, trying to do the Dharma and learn as much as you can. But some people might find that social media interaction relaxing rather than antagonizing or invoking anger.
Well, it's checking
Right.
out.
The only thing I think the point that was being made is don't do it while you're trying to meditate, right? Because that happens.
That
happens. It's just, take that chunk of time and spend it with the meditation. Then of course go out to Facebook.
And then you can use your whatever platform you're on, you can use that to maybe share some of the insights and things you're learning in your Dharma practice, maybe being help and benefit to others to go, I might try that.
One of the things I see when I look at these things is I go, oh yeah, Buddhism's right about the way we are. It's quite clear.
Yeah.
It's quite
That's
clear.
pretty much.
Buddhism is correct.
Yeah.
This is, and if left to our own devices without any training, we're a mess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that sort of just reinforces my I don't know, confidence in this particular path.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things that I really remember and have in the back of my mind, which is extremely helpful with regard to what Christopher just said, is to remember if you're familiar with what's termed the 8 worldly dharmas, because then when you go onto social media, you can see them like
It's quite
Very
clear.
clearly.
Here they
Quite
are.
clear. Yeah.
And that's helpful actually to me. I don't know why it's helpful.
No, it's if the nothing wrong is inherently wrong with the internet, with Facebook, with Twitter,
Right.
X, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's
I
what
doubt
we
His
do with
Holiness
it.
does his own post, but when
Yeah.
he goes on the internet, do you think he gets triggered and angry? No.
Absolutely not. I don't think it goes on the
I
internet.
mean, you
but-
go into it with
Um,
whatever it is you're
Yeah.
seeking to cultivate.
Right. It's always going to be your karmic appearance showing back to you, so it's what's the state of our mind when we're on
Right.
when we're on social media.
So you can almost like gauge the state of your mind by what you might be drawn to in social media. So if you
exactly.
want to
Yeah.
switch, you can go, oh wow, I'm really looking at all this negativity, or I'm looking at all this stuff that's bringing me down and down and down. maybe
Yeah.
I try to shift what I'm thinking, which what I'm attracted to, which
Right.
then brings me up.
Or I'm just looking at one
Whatever.
point of view.
Right,
One
right.
point of view.
Yeah.
There's so many.
I know,
Yeah.
it's really,
Uh,
it is actually very funny, but I asked Geshe Nima specifically about this. And having to do with the news specifically. And I said, maybe, do you think it would be a good idea to unplug from consuming the
Right.
news? And he said, no, it's good to know what is happening in, your world that you're still operating in.
Yeah.
But do it in a way that's, balanced and
Right.
Well,
with
always
the
bring the
Dharma
Dharma.
purpose. Don't do
Yeah.
it because like, okay, now I've done my practice, now let's see what's really going on.
Right.
Because
The thing
I
is,
think we've all been there.
like how he put it, remember first what our purpose is. If we hold that purpose in our mind, the purpose of, of bettering ourselves, removing all the suffering from our life so that we can be happy and then help others to do the same thing, then everything becomes aligned to that purpose, And it doesn't matter what horrible things we see on
Out
the
there.
internet.
We're not affected by it.
We go,
it
it just triggers compassion. And what's the way that, one by one, I could help turn this around?
Right.
How could I do this? Because this is my purpose now, right?
Right.
So this is the way we view the world and think about it with the Dharma lens,
Right.
So we should close. He gave a really great meditation at the end on seeing one's body as a divine body. And we'll do that, the opening next time. We'll do that meditation. So you want to do closing first?
Remembering our responsibility to take command of our own consciousness and our own thoughts and our own intentions as co-creators of the world we see, really. The generating, what do they call this now? The dedication of merit. The ideas that Christopher shared from Geshe Nima and that we've all discussed in our own contributions to the discussion. Remembering all that effort, especially I want to comment on Christopher's enormous 30-ish hours of preparation for this. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. May the view of emptiness, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. May anyone who merely sees or hears, remembers, touches, or talks to me be instantly free from all sufferings and abide in happiness forever. That's the end goal. It is only from the kindness of my Guru that I have met the teachings of the Buddha. Thus, I dedicate all merits so that all sentient beings in the future may be guided by kind and holy gurus. If we want to know how to get there, it's these things, these six perfections. That's how we become the being that anyone who sees or hears us, touches or talks to us, abides in happiness forever, is through our practice of these. In this prayer for His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, this miracle that we see with our eyes today on this world, in the snowy mountain paradise, you're the source of goodness and happiness. Powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig, may you stay until samsara ends. And then we'll skip to the final dedication. Again, in all my lives, may I never be separated from true lamas and enjoy the splendor of Dharma, fully perfecting the virtues of levels and paths. May I speedily attain the state of Vajrayana.
May we reach our goal.
And again, it's saying right there, perfecting the virtues of levels and paths. It's saying by doing the stuff that's in this path,
Yeah.
I'm gonna become harsher.
Yeah, yeah. These were fantastic teachings that he gave. And we really need to absorb them and study them and take them in
Yeah.
to our practice and
Again,
thinking.
I'm just so thankful and grateful that you were able to record them
Yeah.
so that we could go back
Right.
and dive into them
Yeah.
more deeply at a deeper level, because
Yeah,
you know, I've always say, you know, that's where life is, at that deeper level. And if we're just skimming across the surface and he's here for several days and just telling us all this stuff, and all we're grasping is just skimming along the surface, we're missing a lot.
Mhm.
And so really being able to delve and dive deep into it.
And that's the whole purpose of his teaching, is for us to do that.
Right.
That's why a guru gives their students the teachings that they do, so that they will study them and practice them.
Yeah.
They're meant for us,
Right.
not for somebody else.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so, okay.
So thank you for all that.
Oh, it is, I've learned a lot from it. It's my pleasure, believe me.
Thank
Okay,
you.
everybody.
guys.
Bye,
And
Janet.
See you all next.
I hope to see you soon, maybe next Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all
Thank you so much. Always.
y'all take care.